We're going to talk about immigration, okay? Illegal immigration, however you want to put it, normal immigration. Something that's been going on for a number of years, okay? And this goes back to even when I had to move in 2004, all right? But it got really intense the past few years and on a global scale, all right? Now, Trump said that he come in, signed executive orders and all this other stuff, mass deportations, the whole 9 yards. Well, what he did do, honestly, is he did seal the borders up. So people just ain't walking through and being processed, okay? And see, this is the issue. Nobody points out and says that in the past, under the last administration, they showed these people walking across the border, going through gates, and being processed and moved. Okay, and this is something that because they restrict you on Facebook, on YouTube, I don't know if this is going to get hit or not, you can't point out and say, because I've mentioned something about it, and a lot of comments are saying these people are being moved by someone in a process of relocating them. So you really can't say it is an illegal border crossing when some government or some agency or some entity is transporting them around and relocating and setting them up. Okay? This is the whole farce of what's going on here. Okay, locally here, there was a place, it was an old, they printed checks, and this place closed down. So you have this very large, call it an industrial print shop, an industrial space, that they were bringing in people, and you seen it, there were security guards, and if you were kind of like wandering around asking questions, you were kind of told to leave. And they'd bring these people in by the busload and all this stuff. So, maybe, it is illegal, put it that way. They're defying the law. But there is a reason that these people are here. And they were brought here for a reason. And it's the taxpayer, us, paying for all this. I don't know where they got the money to do all this. And what it is this country, with our economy and our labor force and everything else, is in dire situation. Okay, and these people are brought here to work, okay, to keep these major industries running. I know that for a fact because I worked in a well-known place that manufactured automobile transmission housings. Okay, they had the place where it was cast, all the aluminum housings were cast, and I worked in this factory's big. They had 3 or 4 locations of this. It's a complex. You had the cast plant, which was a big deal. You had where we machined it, packaged it. You had a warehouse where stuff would come in and out and everything. So this is a large operation of a major corporation in this country. Okay? And how this is set up, and you're wondering, well, how do they do this? I was hired in the supervisory role, is what I did. I was shift supervisor. They bring people in there. They have no tools or nothing, and all they do is load the machines with brake calipers, water pump housings, whatever. Load them in there, and they were pretty expensive, intricate machines. You'd open the door, and there's what's called a tombstone, and that's just this device that was hydraulically controlled. You put the hydraulic line on, pull a lever, release all the clamps, and you pull the parts out, put them in finished, Put all the ones in there, hold them, give it a thing, and watch, make sure that they're all clamped. Okay? Close the door, hit the button, and it's ready to roll. And once the other fixture is done running, they rotate the tables around, and away you go. And it's just mass production. Okay? And these run 5 days a week, 24 hours a day. Alright, this is how this is done. My job was just to keep the machines running, check things, keep an eye on things. And how they train the people is different. I've been machining, I did it for 40 years. What they did is they had this booklet with each machine and the part. Because we'd run, that one machine ran the same parts over a couple years. That's what it was. That center just made one part. That's it. That machine didn't do nothing else once it was set up. They had what they called work instructions. And they'd come out and photograph, have someone stand there, photograph, put in your hand here, this, the lever, all this other stuff. And you were told to make the person read this. They didn't tell me make sure he understood it, and that's why they took photographs. You don't have to read and write English. You look at the pictures like a monkey or something, and then you'd run it. And the one factory paid about minimum wage, and if you were there to where you could run the machines and inspect the parts, I think you made $2 more than minimum wage. Alright? This ain't going to sustain any type of citizen leading a normal life here. So how all of these immigrants come in, and this is where, how we found out about it, or how bad it was. Again, we questioned Trump. Before he got elected, in one of his crazy speeches he started with, in Ohio, they're eating the cats and dogs. Okay, now when he made that statement, and I mean everybody heard it, seen it, I kind of started to doubt, is this guy, he's running his mouth and saying ridiculous things. They're not going to elect him, okay, if he keeps doing this. But what happened is, and it was an exaggeration, is when he made that statement and the media pushed that all over and had it everywhere and kept playing it over and over again, that's where somebody like me said, you know what, I'm going to look into this a little bit further. And then everyone starts going and checking out this place in Ohio and what's going on. And if you go through YouTube and you get through some other media sources, and there were people that made videos from this town or region that had explained what is really going on there. I guess this is one of these impoverished areas, or there's, and there's some kind of a giant factory there. Alright, so what they did is brought all these people from Haiti, give them some kind of special status, and the guy explained how it works. Yeah, they're taking them on a bus. They pick them up in one area and take them on a bus to the factory, because they don't have cars or nothing. He goes, they're making minimum wage, okay? But they're getting supplemented somehow from the government with housing or something. So he says, when you add this up, he goes, these people are doing pretty good for themselves. And it shows this little town is on the verge of collapse. And, they need a whole bunch of workers, okay? And like I said, a normal person without some kind of a subsidy or money coming in from the government or something, okay, is not going to make it on the wages this place pays. So to keep this factory running, they bring these people in, probably give them all free health care and all this other stuff, and they work. And like the guy said, they do well. But the problem is, they're going out, they get a learner's permit, they go and buy or rent a car, they don't know how to drive. People were actually killed in traffic accidents. Now, not crime, not cartels, not dealing in drugs. Just these people were really messing up with driving their cars, not adjusting well. And the thing is, the local courts and government were not fining them, arresting them, or jailing them. And one guy made a video and said, yeah, if I did what they did, the traffic accidents, the car accidents, violating, speeding, violating, rules of the road, he goes, I would be put in a county jail. And he goes, what the court system does is they delay their trial or hearing, and then just after so many months shuffle it, and they don't prosecute these people. Okay? Because these people are here for a reason, and these people are here to keep this corporation propped up. And the local government is there because they showed a town hall meeting. Then when everybody's watching this, they showed a town hall meeting where the citizens are complaining what's going on, and the mayor just said, okay, the meeting's ended, we're stopping it. Okay, everyone leave the room. And they got up, the city council got up and left. All right. And not only did this happen in this town, there was somebody else chimed in, somewhere in Louisiana or something. It's the same story, the same problems. And see, this is how this got out. So when you think Trump was crazy, he actually, maybe in a very clever way, without getting in trouble, because something tells me, that now he got elected, he didn't do that without the backing of some of these individuals. So for him to stand up there and point directly at who it is and name names ain't going to happen. He did it kind of underhandedly, made himself look foolish, but he achieved the final goal of exposing this nonsense. Now, like I said, getting back to him, all these executive orders. Okay, well, what's good is, yes, they did secure the border, so I got to give him a big thumbs up for that. He stopped a lot of this processing of people. Actually, I haven't drove to that area in town to see if that's all shut down there. But, and he also made it easier for the Border Patrol and local law enforcement, like I said, to anybody committing crimes. Okay? Made it easier to arrest them and deport them for a lesser crime instead of waiting until the person commits murder or something. Okay, so that has happened. Now, for everyone saying, are they going to come down through and grab up all the illegals and ship them out of the country? And I think in my last video someone said they're paying them money to leave. Now, if you ever watch Victor David Hanson in his videos, he gets right to the point on a lot of this. And he said probably the simplest and easiest solution would be to tell these people, you have like 6 months or something. If you're here illegally, you can keep the money you've earned, sell your vehicles, property, whatever, and take the money with you and leave the country. He said that would probably be the least expensive way, okay, because with millions of people, you would have to have some sort of law enforcement group to transfer these people, take them, detain them, number one. You have to have people go out and detain them, find them, transport them to where you have to house them, process them, and then deport them. Okay? So yes, I agree with that man, that you tell them, hey, leave on your own accord, keep what you've accumulated, and just go away and save yourself the hassle. That is a good idea, and probably even if the government's giving them money to get them out of here, it will cost less than going through the process and with the social disruption of like a secret police wandering around to grab these people, okay? That's going to cost a lot of money. We're already in debt. And this was used to it's necessary to prop up the economy, because like I said, without these people, legal or not, I doubt all of them have green cards and documentation that should be working in this place. But 80% to, about 85% of the people in that complex, if they were illegals or question their, right to work or whatever, do they have green cards and that, you're talking that place won't exist no more. Okay, I mean, you're talking 80% of their workforce would be removed. All right? And truthfully, a lot of the people, that just lived around, I remember one guy, he was saying he got fired. All right? And he was kind of a nervous fellow. He had a wife and kids and that. But he was saying that he looked at other comparable places and they were paying like $5 more an hour for these jobs. Well, they ended up firing him and he went to work for another factory, and actually he makes a lot more money. He's happy, and he said it was the best thing that happened to him. And he admitted to me, I seen him later, years later. He was just afraid to leave his job cold turkey and not find another place to work. Okay? And but it worked out for him, and I'm happy for him. But it just goes to show you this is the thing. And another problem we have is one person brought up the thing, well, how can you get rid of all the illegals when I drive around and there's signs that we'll pay $20 an hour to work in a restaurant or something like that? He goes, people don't want to work in this country, okay? And that's a social problem, okay, combined with this. And then we see, I guess they said China is producing these videos, and you'll see several of them on YouTube where you see fat white people picking strawberries and like an ambulance out in the field that when they get physically exhausted they have to carry them out in an ambulance. And several other people have commented, okay, do you want these jobs that all these illegals are doing and work for this? And, are you happy you have it? Are you running out to get one? And there is a point. There is a point because, like, when they set out in California that any of these migrant workers should be getting paid a living wage. And then a guy goes, well, if that's how you want it, when you walk into the store and you pick something and buy this apple, do you want to pay $9 for this apple? All right. It's kind of a double-edged sword. But I believe a lot of this just way open migration was destroying this country. Okay, it was an attempt to dissolve this country, destroy it. Okay, which hopefully Trump is bringing it back from the edge. But if you're going to see like where they go through and round up all these people that are here illegally who, like I said, are not committing crimes. They're actually have some sort of a job and are doing labor or whatever. I don't know if that's going to happen. Okay, and I guess they're trying to figure out a solution that won't push the country into bankruptcy, won't start civil unrest and all kinds of insane things to reverse this. I don't know if it's possible or how it's going to work, but what's been going on is bad for the country. Okay, I just hope they come up with a viable solution to kind of at least change some of it. But then again, on the other hand, we also need a social change in a way people think about things and work. Okay? Because I do know somebody that is involved with the McDonald's Corporation, okay? And that's the one the controversy. They're paying people $15, $18 an hour to do these jobs, and and usually it's a lot of younger people will go into this entry-level position, and they'll work one day and then they just don't feel like it, or they're tired and they don't show up for 2-3 days, and the person explaining this to me, because he knows this person, is enraged. And of course this person was a manager of some government facility and made a ton of money, and to him, to get paid that much to do a labor job, and then they don't even show up to earn the money, okay, kind of got him a little upset. But I said, well, that's the way it is. Hopefully, it started to get under some sort of control. Okay, so I can say that. The damage has been done. If it can be repaired or reversed, I really don't know. And like I said, a lot of the things Trump has signed with his executive orders, I don't know how many of them there are, they're all being held up in court also. Okay? So even though he's pushing it through, or trying to, I don't know if this mess is ever going to get sorted out. And don't get me wrong, I don't believe that all immigrants are evil. And if people emigrate here and go through the process and do it correctly, with the correct paperwork and everything else, I'm not against that. That's what built this country and made it strong. But just to have your border open and have a few million people show up who are immediately drawing from the funds that I paid into all my life, and when I go and say, hey, I need help from Social Security, I'm disabled, this and that, I'm told no. Okay? Because these funds are being used to subsidize people in the country illegally, okay, to support different industrial places or different corporations to keep them afloat and from collapsing. And then that nonsense where they're going to give them all the right to vote was to keep certain political people in power, because nobody likes the situation. All right, and that's kind of how the election went the way it did. So that's my thoughts on it. I guess the only thing we can do is hope and pray that things will get better as time goes on, and some of this will get sorted out. The problem, really, the problem is enormous. Okay, and the strain on our economy, the strain that is taking away from our standard of living, citizens' standard of living, and our way of life is criminal, okay? And it should be stopped. But who knows? Hit the like button, subscribe, and stay tuned.